So there is a woman who was suing Chris Brown, and the basis of the suit is that she says she was essayed by the popular singer on Diddy's Yacht. I realize this topic will trigger and offend some, and do understand if you need to click off the video. Those who are here for the details, you're in the right place. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for clicking on the video. I am Sasha Renee. Over here, everything said is alleged and for entertainment purposes only. This video is covered by the Copyright Act of 1976, which allows me to criticize and give my opinion. So the Investigation Discovery Network, also known as ID, dropped a documentary titled Chris Brown, A History of Violence just a few days ago. It's about an unnamed woman who claimed she was SA'd at a Diddy Yacht party in 2020. Jane Doe said she was a dancer and had recently moved to LA to chase a dance career, then ended up on a trip to Miami at the end of that year. I found this information over on AOL.com. Shout out to them. They did a great job with the timeline, so I wanted to touch bases on it. So the woman says she was invited to a Diddy yacht party, and when she got there, she claims Brown started to chat with her and that he handed her a drink. After sipping that beverage, she says her body began to feel heavy and he continued to hand her drinks, more drinks. They just kept coming. Jane Doe alleges that Brown then took her into a bedroom where she says the essay happened. She was quoted as saying, "I remember I did lay back and I'm like, why can't I get up? He was on top of me and I couldn't move. I said no, and then I felt him. Next thing I know, he was inside of me." Doe then told producers that Brown had allegedly came inside her, and she talked about how disgusted she was. The lawsuit was filed for $20 million and was dismissed after conflicting text message records were released in court. Chris Brown responded to the lawsuit denying Doe's allegations against him. ID's latest documentary looks at Chris Brown's past relationships as well as accusations of AB and SA. They reference what happened with Rihanna as well as Karrueche and the multiple incidents since, including several SA charges, lawsuits, and grape accusations, child. Chris Brown and Rihanna dated in 2008, and in 2009, Brown was charged with physical assault after allegedly hitting Rihanna. They interviewed a former LAPD sergeant who described the incident in detail. Quote, "As Chris was driving, punching her with his right fist as he drives with his left hand, this goes on for blocks. Her lip was busted and bruised. She sustained other injuries to her face as a result of her head being smashed repeatedly against the window." He pled guilty to the felony and served 5 years of probation, which included doing community service and attending domestic violence counseling. And since the incident, Brown has continued to deny allegations brought against him. ID spoke to experts in the field who gave their opinion of Chris and the alleged AB he has said to be involved in. The documentary included an interview where Brown remembered seeing AB in his house as a child. A journalist talked about how he was close to his parents until they split and his mother remarried. She also claimed Brown publicly stated that he was so scared as a child that he would pee on himself to avoid running into his stepfather. It has been said that Brown's stepfather has denied the allegations against him. After the split from Rihanna, Brown started to date Karrueche Tran. Then they broke up and he and Rihanna got back together in 2012. Karrueche talked about it in an interview. She said that one day she and Chris were at home chilling and that he told her he was going to the store. A little time passed, she turns on the TV, and there he is sitting courtside with Rihanna. Needless to say, Chris and Rihanna had got back together, but things didn't work out. They say Rihanna broke up with Chris, and Karrueche ended up taking him back. They were off and on until 2014, though they continued to interact even after that. And Karrueche ended up filing for a restraining order against Brown in 2017. She accused Brown of AB throughout the relationship, but Brown denied the allegations. The documentary talks about the singer's friendship with the Diddler. The now tarnished music mogul supported Brown during the fallout of his split from Rihanna after he was arrested. Chris Brown has spoken about auditioning for Diddy around the age of 12, where things didn't go so well and Diddy didn't sign him. With all the current lawsuits against Diddy, it makes me wonder what happened between the two. But somehow, he and Diddy became friends. Diddy has even been vocal about their friendship. He once talked about how he invited Chris and Rihanna to his home to have some time to work through things. You would have to live under a rock to not have heard about the charges against Diddy, so I won't drag you through that. And this documentary compares the two men and their alleged history of AB. In 2011, when Brown appeared on Good Morning America, he was asked about the incident between he and Rihanna, and he allegedly got upset and threw a chair at a window before leaving the building, which they say he admitted to doing. 2 years later, Brown's probation was revoked after he was said to be involved in a hit-and-run accident. The charges were dropped when they settled. Brown also had to serve 1,000 hours of community service. That same year, he was arrested for FA and spent 36 hours in jail. Those charges were reduced to a misdemeanor, and Brown was ordered to stay at least 100 yards away from the man he AS'd. Brown then went to rehab, and while he was there, he allegedly smashed his mom's car window during a family session. He was then sentenced to 3 months at a live-in rehab for his anger management issues. While there, Brown was allegedly diagnosed with bipolar disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder. It seemed that he was okay for about 2 years each time, and then another arrest would occur. So in 2015, Brown allegedly AB'd a woman who was recorded by the police saying that she didn't want to deal with the charges because of how Brown had allegedly encouraged his social media followers to reach out to the woman. Though Brown denied these allegations, but it wasn't long before Brown was sued by his management team for an alleged AS, and it was settled out of court in 2016. That same year, Lizanne Gutierrez claimed she was punched in the face by Brown. She filed a report, but the Las Vegas Police Department decided not to press charges. Gutierrez claimed she was offered a settlement, though Chris Brown's attorney denied these allegations. Quote, he claims he never laid a hand on Gutierrez, who he said was escorted from the premises after becoming disruptive and out of control. and had been previously accused of similar behavior in other instances. In 2018, an unidentified woman sued Brown and two other people after she was allegedly held down and essayed in the singer's home. She sued the three for S battery and AS, and also for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Brown's legal team denied the claims, and police didn't press any charge due to a lack of evidence. The woman eventually filed a civil suit.
This morning, I filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles County Superior Court on behalf of a young woman who shall be known as Jane Doe against singer Chris Brown, his friend Lowell Grissom Jr., and others. The lawsuit alleges that on or about February 23, 2017, and into the early morning hours of February 24, 2017, our client, who is the plaintiff in this case, attended a concert at a venue called One Oak here in Southern California. At some point, according to our lawsuit, our client was invited to attend an, quote, after party, end quote, at a recording studio to meet defendant Grissom, also known as Young Low, and defendant Chris Brown. When she arrived at the studio, her phone was taken away from her. She was told that Brown did not want anyone to have their phones in the studio. The lawsuit further alleges that our client wanted to leave and asked for her phone to be returned to her, but that Grissom refused to return her phone and told her that she did not need it because the group was moving to Chris Brown's house. Our client alleges in the lawsuit that she was forced to go to Brown's home because she perceived that she would only be able to retrieve her phone there. The lawsuit alleges as follows, and I am quoting out of the lawsuit, which you have. At Brown's house, Brown provided alcohol and
which was allegedly settled out of court. Brown was also accused by another woman of aggravated rape, which he denied. He then sued the woman for defamation. Fast forward to the current Jane Doe, who originally made the accusations against Chris Brown in 2020, who did speak out in the documentary but did not want her face shown. She says Chris Brown allegedly raped her on Diddy'S yacht, though she did not have any negative comments for Diddy. Quote, Chris Brown raped me. I can say that, and I know it for a fact, instead of telling myself it wasn't. She says she chose not to go public because people found out who she was and she was attacked online. Jane Doe said most girls would be happy to have sex. Most girls would be happy to have sex with Chris Brown, but I didn't want that. This is not what I wanted. The woman says she remained in contact with Brown for several years and referenced text messages and video calls. Producers of the documentary clarified in a title card that they didn't have access to the texts or calls and couldn't confirm their authenticity. It must be said that attorney Ariel Mitchell, who Jane Doe hired to originally represent her in the first civil suit, says she had to drop the case after Miami police shared months of text messages between Brown and Jane Doe. According to Mitchell, there were messages in which the woman repeatedly asked Brown if she could see him again after the alleged rape. The victim, for her part, maintained that the SA happened, and she continued to keep in contact with Brown because she struggled to come to terms with what happened to her. Brown denied any wrongdoing, and a judge dismissed the case in 2022. This documentary is a part of the ID Network's No Excuse for AB campaign, which is shining a light on the complex dynamics of intimate partner violence with resources and programming initiatives. And I say kudos to ID as well as AOL for both outlets doing a great job covering this topic. I can see why Chris and Diddy are being compared, with both having questionable history, past relationships. I also heard some who blame the other parties involved in these incidents and say that those women weren't innocent. But I wasn't there, so I don't know. But what do you think about all of this? Drop down in the comments and let me know. And I'll catch you on the next one. As always, thanks for watching.